Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Friday edition of the Computer America Show. Got a really interesting program for you tonight. It's Friday night, so and in the spirit of inviting educational
2 minutes until showtime.
Educational leaders and professors from universities all over the world, we're going to be talking about astronomy tonight, and we're going to be focusing on the discovery of Kepler 444. And Dr. Tiago Campante is here. He is the postdoctoral research fellow with the University of Birmingham in the United Kingdom. All right, so that's going to be in our first hour. In the second hour, we're going to do computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. We've got some great news stories for you. And also joining us tonight is our executive producer, Aaron Crossman, my son.
He snuck in. We were closing the door, and he just like squeaked by. And we're like, crap.
So he's here joining us as well. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We might even talk a little bit about Chappie in the second hour.
1 minute until showtime.
Somebody I know, who'll go nameless, actually saw the movie tonight, this afternoon. So we'll get a little bit of...
You've taken away my name again? I wasn't informed.
Yes. So we're going to get a mini movie review with no spoilers. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We'll be starting in less than a minute.
Craig.
Yes, Aaron.
March is for science.
I'm sorry?
Science.
I told him that, but he doesn't follow the schedule.
Science is March's theme.
Yeah, you need to mute yourself. You're unmuted.
He's fine. So mean to the guests.
Tiago, could you
Yeah,
mute yourself, please? Thank you. There you go.
Solidarity, Tiago.
Hey, you, over there, not talking. Be quiet.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And it's Friday! Yes, once again, we have accomplished another week.
Another week of radio excellence in the can. A radio broadcast excellence in the can.
Yeah, you're getting it. That's exactly
I
it.
know your idiosyncrasies.
Another week, another radio broadcasting week in the can.
I messed you up, too.
Yes, you did. But as I said, it's Friday, and we got a fun show for you planned tonight. Obviously we are a computer show primarily, but we also do technology, and we sometimes talk about, on Friday we talk about movies. I know the movie Chappie just came out, and actually Ben saw the movie this afternoon, so we'll get a little mini review later on probably in the second hour of the show. We'll see how he liked it or didn't like it, and in the second hour we're going to do computer and technology news. That's brought to you by Slimware Utilities. They are the official optimization software of Computer America. So anything else you want to talk about, guys? I know, Aaron, you're here because I know you're a big space hound. You really love space.
I'm here because Computer America also loves popular science, and anyone who's been paying attention to any of the science news out there has been hearing stories about all the planets being discovered all over the place.
Yeah.
And a lot of those, if not all of those, I'm sure we can find out tonight, come from the Kepler mission. And that's tonight's guest. So.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, then, any other points before we get started? Ben, anything else you want to mention?
Yeah, hopefully we will be answering the important questions tonight about space and the exoplanets and things like that. As in, how can we reap and locust and mine these planets to an inch of their life and really, abuse them for all the money we can get. So let's keep that
Just
driving
avatars
focus in
of
mind.
All right, there you
Yes, we
go.
need the
Avatar
unobtainium.
playing
We
out.
need the unobtainium. The unobtainium. Yeah.
Well, in this hour, we're going to hear Dr. Tiago Campante talk about future missions dedicated to the search for exoplanets. We'll find out what those are. Among our discussion tonight will be the main aspects surrounding the discovery of Kepler 444, how this discovery provides scope for the existence of ancient life in our galaxy. Have we so far discovered any Earth-like planets? And even what the Fermi paradox is. Now, please welcome to the show postdoctoral research fellow Dr. Tiago Campante with the University of Birmingham in the United Kingdom to the show. Tiago, welcome into Computer America. How are you, sir?
Thank you very much for having me on the show, and good evening to everyone. Good morning. Here it's 3 a.m. in the UK. Yeah, I'm very pleased. I'm looking forward to talking about exoplanets and stars also a bit.
Now, if all of any listeners have questions for the doctor, you certainly can call us. Give us a buzz, 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. We also have email set up, a live email inbox when we're on the air. It is live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. You can also join us in our live interactive chat room. Just go to our homepage at computeramerica.com, and it says interact with the show there on the homepage. Click the button that says chat live video. You'll get a split screen. On the left-hand side, you'll see the entry form for our chat room. You just pick a username. That's the name you'll be known by when you go in there. Click the connect button, and your browser moves you right into the chat room. On the other side is that live Computer America video streaming page. It'll start up automatically when you go there. So not only can you listen to the Computer America show, you can also watch the Computer America show. You can see myself, you can see Ben, Aaron, and you can see our guest tonight, Tiago, and talking about all the different things. And we certainly welcome you to the live streaming and also to our live chat room. So please participate. And again, 347-884-8881 is the phone number if you have questions. So let's get started, Tiago. Why don't you tell us in a few, a little bit about what the main aspects surrounding the discovery of Kepler 444 is all about, why it's important.
Well, the discovery of this particular system was all over the news about a month ago. So this is, we're talking about an ancient planetary system, which is 11.2 billion years old. So if you keep in mind that the universe itself is 13.8 billion years old, it means that this system formed when the universe was very young, when our galaxy in particular was very young. And it's not only that, it's also the fact that this star hosts 5 planets, and all of them are smaller than our own Earth. So we're talking about terrestrial planets, rocky planets, where life, I'm not saying that life in this particular system, but in other similar systems as old as this one, could potentially have developed at some stage. So it is a revolutionary discovery. It adds to our knowledge of how and when, since when planets this small can start forming, and obviously it has implications for life, ancient life. But well, these are all things, aspects I would like to address. We have time to address all these aspects. There are also other things I would like to address during this interview. You probably are curious to know how common Earth-sized planets are, and if there are other planets similar to Earth. Obviously, we are working on that. That's the ultimate goal, right? To find some sort of Earth twin. Right.
But if it's 12 billion light years away, is that what you said? It was 12. How many light years away was it?
No. So the age of this particular system, Kepler 444, is of 11. Well, let's say 11 billion years. 11 billion years. So compared to the age of the universe, which is 13.8.
Got it. But how far away is it?
It is in our, well, we astronomers would call it the solar neighborhood. Okay,
Okay.
so
Good.
we use the expression solar neighborhood. Let's say to if we consider distances as far as 100, 200 light years,
Yeah.
that's the neighborhood. Because if you compare that to the size of the Milky Way, that's nothing. That's maybe 0.1% or something like that.
Wow. But it's all within our galaxy then. If you kept with
So
Yes.
left at the gas station, right at Andromeda, and you're there or something.
Yeah.
pretty close.
Sounds like it's one of those stars that, you know, if we did start traveling around between them, it's one of the first ones we'd come across.
Now,
Sounds like that.
why are we always so interested in finding Earth-like planets? I mean, that does. I mean, we could find planets that are not Earth-like that still may support life. You know, that's very different from ours. Or are we just going to look for planets like ours because that's the kind of life form we're most familiar with? Is ourselves, obviously. Is that why we're looking for Earth-like planets?
Yeah, I mean that's a very good point. There's some people call this the carbon chauvinism, because we always assume that other life forms share our biochemistry, right?
Yeah.
But there may be out there, and we don't know, other biochemistries using other solvents, not water, as in our case, but let's say ammonia or methane, right? So obviously, when we talk about habitability in distant worlds, we always assume life as we know it, because that's the only biochemistry we're familiar with. So, for example, if we talk about the habitable zone around our own sun, and by habitable zone I mean a region around a star that is not too hot or too cold, so where liquid water could exist at the surface of a planet. Yeah, well, the Earth falls within that habitable zone, obviously, otherwise we would not be here. But for example, if you travel to one of the moons of Jupiter or Saturn, which are already away or outside the habitable zone around the sun, you could still find liquid water. For example, let's say Europa, one of the moons of Jupiter, it has a icy crust, and there's a water ocean beneath. So it can actually keep liquid water on its surface because it has other means of getting energy that can heat that water. So I'm just thinking about tidal effects and radiative decay. So you can actually find liquid water outside the habitable zone. So you're going back to your question. Yes, we don't actually need to find an Earth twin to say, okay, this is maybe the most promising candidate, because life could be found in other worlds.
And even on our own planet, we find life that exists in almost volcanic, superheated water in our ocean. Right? We find life everywhere that we wouldn't expect life to be able to exist. Nature finds a way to. So,
I mean, Canadians exist. They're up there.
No, I think part of this is, I mean, you know, this is really cool because we're finding planets at this point that are Earth-like and about Earth size. They might have the same types of resources where we would expect to find on a planet that can support life. But didn't a lot of this start because we didn't know if planets at all were common? I mean, we thought even planets might be rare. Didn't the Kepler mission start out trying to find just any planets?
Yes.
Never mind.
Yeah. So I mean, if we, okay, a bit of historical perspective. We found the first exoplanets. We humans found the first exoplanet in 1992. That was just 23 years ago. So this particular field of astrophysics is in its infancy, right? And in these last 20 years, we have found so far more than 1,800 exoplanets.
wow.
So if 30 years ago you would ask an astronomer how common are planets out there around the other stars, well, maybe they would not know the answer to that. Or they would be pessimistic and say, well, maybe half of the stars, maybe a third, maybe well, maybe even smaller percentage. Now we know that, and if I focus on Earth-sized planets, we know that 1 out of 5 stars in our galaxy has an Earth-sized planet in the habitable zone. So
Wow.
this is a lot. This is significant. So if you take, let's say, a number of 200 billion stars in our galaxy alone, this would mean that there are, let's say, 10 to 12 billion Earth-like planets out there in the habitable zone.
So they're commonplace. They're everywhere. They're
Everywhere. It's commonplace. Yeah. And we're talking about Earth-like planets around stars that resemble our sun, but they also exist around smaller stars, cooler stars, that are more common. So red dwarf stars. So that would increase that number from 10, 12 billion to 40 billion in our galaxy alone.
Teeming.
So wow.
Teeming with planets. We have planets are not a rarity, and I'm not surprised because I don't think there's anything special about us. I think
for yourself.
Our planet. Exactly. But the only thing that we have, and I think it's going to happen, I think maybe in the next number of years, right now we still haven't discovered life anywhere, but I think we're going to find that life is just like the planets. The galaxy is teeming with life, and we just haven't found it yet, but it's out there. I think it's narcissistic for us to think we're the only ones in the universe, or let alone our galaxy.
Yes, actually, people, scientists, and tend to divide themselves in 2 groups. Those that don't think we are special, that's the Copernican principle. So, why would we be special? Why would be the chosen ones? And there, of course, there's the other group that believes in this rare Earth hypothesis. So basically, the fact that life exists is a combination of very unlikely events, so a sequence of very unlikely events, and that leads us to a discussion that on the following topic. So, if there are so many Earth-like planets out there, and many of those planets have a lot of time to develop life, why are we not aware of other intelligent civilizations?
Could it be just the distance? The amount of space is so vast that that makes it very difficult.
It could be, but you see, our planetary system is only, and I say only because it's relatively young, 4.5 billion years old.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, the Kepler 444, although life cannot develop there, but there may be other similar systems as old where life can exist, is more than twice as old. So imagine an Earth-like planet forming around a star that is twice as old as our system. So they have, on top of our 4.5 billion years of evolution that brought us to this rudimentary technological society, imagine 4 billion years on top of that, or 5 billion years on top of that. They could hypothetically have already colonized the galaxy.
Ancient aliens.
Yes.
Okay.
I was just thinking that, like, these guys could have already, been born, had a girlfriend, gone to college, and extinguished themselves as a species in the time frame that we're talking about here.
Yes. So, there's actually a scale called the Kardashev scale, which rates civilizations in terms of the way they use energy. Okay, so a Type 1 civilization would be the sort of civilization that uses only, or can harness only, the energy coming from their own planet. So we are basically we are reaching that level. Okay, we of course we use oil, we use energy from the tides, the wind, and so on. We cannot use the full resources on Earth yet, but we are going towards that. A Type 2 civilization would be able to harness completely the energy coming from their own star. So this is a step ahead of us. Okay, and a Type 3 would do even better. They would be able to actually travel to do the interstellar distances to achieve that, and actually colonize different places. So if you ask me, okay, is 4 billion years enough to reach that level of?
Oh my gosh.
Probably it is, but and what other dangers are there I mean, surrounding the evolution of a given species? Certainly, the capacity of, now we have attained that, of being able to extinguish ourselves.
Yes,
That's a danger, right?
Yeah.
And that leads us to another big term that people like to use, which is the great filter, which is that instance in the evolution of a given species where, well, you know, maybe just a couple go through that point, you know. So what is the great filter for the human race? Have we surpassed that point, or is it still ahead of us? So is the great filter the appearance of life? Is that so unlikely? So we have moved through that, so we can now develop quietly, or is the great filter the danger of extinguishing ourselves, and we have not yet got there? So depending on where we are in our evolution, so if we haven't yet crossed that great filter, so we may be not around in 1 million years from now, or even 5,000 years from now.
I have to. I beg to go. You've seen the movie Contact, I assume, right?
Yes, obviously.
One of my favorites. Okay, yes. So and yes, it's but the point the points, some of the points that you're bringing up, I mean, were mentioned in that film, and it's a nice affirmation that it wasn't just Hollywood we were watching, but there were a lot of factual things there as well. We're here now. Now you mentioned exoplanet. When you say exoplanet, what exactly do you mean by exoplanet?
So by exoplanet, I mean a body with planetary mass.
Okay.
So the official definition would be, okay, you need to have a spherical body orbiting its parent star that has completely cleared the path along its orbit. So that would be an exoplanet. So just think of a planet in our solar system, but place it around some other star.
Okay. So it just has to be oblate spheroid going around.
Yeah. Actually, the official definition would be spheroid. So actually, if we think about, let's say, Pluto, because we all grew up learning in school that Pluto was a planet.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson messed that one up.
Yeah, and now we are told by a bunch of scientists that Pluto is no longer a planet.
That's right.
Well, Pluto is spherical. Check. Pluto orbits the Sun with an elliptic orbit. Check. But Pluto has not been able to clear the path along its orbit. So there are still debris that the planet could not accrete. So that's the definition. I mean, it's a bit, it's arbitrary.
Arbitrary, exactly.
So you're saying it was an inside job. I hear you.
All right. So Kepler 444. Now you mentioned also that this happened like 6 years ago, and this is significant, like to the day.
Yes. So today is a special day. Well, there are two reasons for being a special day. Actually, today, the 6th of March, it's 6 years since the launch of the NASA Kepler mission. So I should probably introduce what the NASA Kepler mission is. So this mission has revolutionized the field of exoplanet science. totally revolutionized. To give you an idea, we today know or have confirmed 1,800 exoplanets if we count all missions, and Kepler alone has confirmed 1,000 of those. So Kepler is responsible for more than half of all confirmed exoplanets to date. So that's how important Kepler has been to us. So what Kepler does or did during the nominal phase of the mission was to look to a single patch in the night sky and try to monitor as many stars as it could, looking for reductions in the brightness of stars. So that's what we call the transit method. So when a planet crosses in front of the disk of the star, it reduces its brightness momentarily, and we can detect it.
Okay. Well, now
that has to be like really minute, though. Like that can't be all that much, especially with some of these, planets that are smaller than Earth, and the sun or stars are very bright objects. How can something as small as something even smaller than Earth travel that much distance and block out that much light that you can detect them?
Yes. So when we talk about the transit method, we always use the units of parts per million. So if you think of a planet the size of Earth passing in front of a star the size of the sun, it would reduce the luminosity of the sun by a few parts per million. That's the equivalent to measuring a distance of 16 miles with a precision of 1 inch. So that's what we achieve and have achieved with Kepler. And we can do better in the future, obviously.
Wow.
So, well, I mean, part of the way that gets separated from the noise is after it takes a certain number of revolutions for you guys to find like the periodicity or the length of the year, essentially.
So if you want to make sure that a given dip in the brightness of the star caused by a transiting planet is really caused by a transiting planet, you need to measure several periods, so to be sure and to enhance the signal. Yeah.
Okay. Here's something that always confused me. Now, I assume, because I don't know much about science, all of the planets that orbit Earth, they're kind of like in a pretty much flat disk. They're all pretty much on the same level. There's not like, Saturn just going, up and down and everyone else is going left and right.
I think Pluto does.
Maybe Pluto, but he's a weird one and we don't count him anymore. But, like, how do we know that we aren't just seeing these stars straight on? Like, do the ones that we see straight on, like maybe the planets don't pass between the star and our telescopes, and we don't count those planets. Like, at that point, are we just not even worrying about that because we're finding so many others, or is that just never happened before?
So if you detect a transit, it immediately means that the system has a special configuration as seen from Earth, right? So the system is inclined in such a way that the orbital edge, is in the plane of the sky. Obviously, planetary systems are randomly oriented. So if we want to capture transit planets, we need to observe a vast number of stars, and Kepler has done it for almost 200,000 stars, just to get a few percent that actually have that configuration and allow you to measure a transit. Okay? If the planet doesn't transit in front of the star, because that's not how we see it from Earth, there are other methods that can be used to detect planets. And maybe the most popular, besides the transit detection, would be the radial velocity method. So how does it work? You basically measure the wobble of a star as it is pushed and pulled by a planet around it. Okay? So if you measure the light coming from that star, you measure the Doppler effects. So similar to the sound of an ambulance, right? So when it approaches you, the frequency increases. When it goes away, the frequency decreases. So the light of a star that is being perturbed by a planet, as it approaches us, the frequency will increase, the frequency of that light received, and as it recedes, the frequency will decrease. So that's the same principle.
So by the color, is it like blue and red, blue shift, red shift?
Yes. Correct. If you, I like to give these figures because they're just stratospheric. So we can measure these radial velocities I'm talking about with a precision of 1 meter per second. I know that you guys in the US, you don't use the metric system, but 1 meter per second is the equivalent to walking speed. So that's the sort of precision we have achieved when measuring our radial so the red shifts or blue shifts of a star to the planet.
That is incredible precision.
That's
precision.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think is almost the next step in precision? I mean, I know that you've already got it so fine-tuned that you can measure, such small changes in the motion of a star or a planet, but this is a personal interest of mine, is how even sometimes you can take this light and you can look at some of the spectral lines on it and get some of the atmospheres from it. I mean, this is almost just not just this is a feat of engineering on top of being
feature, of
a discovery for astronomy.
Yeah, in my opinion, the next big challenge will be to measure the composition of exoplanet atmospheres. Okay, we have achieved that already for the largest planets around other stars, but we want to do it for super Earths. A super Earth is a planet, well, let's say slightly larger than Earth, and they're very common out there in our galaxy. So NASA will launch another telescope, the James Webb Space Telescope, in 2018. So this will be the successor of Hubble. Hubble is still up there and working, but James Webb will be the successor. And James Webb will not work in the visible band, but in the infrared band.
All right, listen. We're
sure.
at the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll continue on with this fascinating interview. We're talking to Dr. Tiago Campante, who is a postdoctoral research fellow at the University of Birmingham in the United Kingdom. We'll continue on with them right after this. Stay with us.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No hair removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No hair removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
So, you came back. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Seagate ST2000 DX001 Desktop SS HD. SSHD, not just a hard drive, and not an SSD. You're going to like this. With a special set of storage requirements in mind for populating NAS devices underlying a zero-footprint scanning station, we turned to Seagate for their recommendations, and a day and a half later received 2 of their ST2000DX001 drives with some noteworthy attributes. This is a solid-state hybrid drive, SSHD, meaning 8 gig of flash is there as a cache for a big boost in throughput. It's a 3.5-inch desktop, 2 terabyte, 7,200 RPM drive with a 64 meg DRAM cache and a 6 gigabit per second SATA 3, actually 3.1 interface. That's more than enough capacity overhead for our application. It may also be more than enough speed for scanning activities, but that speed makes a significant contribution to speeding up OCR, virus scans, and overnight backup chores. Bottom line, the Seagate solid-state hybrid 2 terabyte, 3.5-inch ST2000DX001 drive puts a premium on speed, less so on price. This is Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Thank you, Marty Winston, for that news tip bulletin review. We will be having 2 brand new ones starting Monday. Monday is the first day of the next week. And I assume that we are going to have those, as well as later tonight. We will have the last time you hear that particular one, and a show reminder winner of the week. So
Yes.
all fun stuff there. But we are right now in the first hour. We're having a science-heavy interview. Dr. Tiago Campante. Let's say Mr. Doctor. That's not right. And we're talking all about the Kepler missions and things like that. And to kind of stray a little bit into one of my own questions, we were just talking about the James Webb Space Telescope. The moderator of our chat room kind of dug it up, and they have a website apparently devoted to it, and webcams that you can watch it actively being built. Right now, it looks like everyone else is on a smoke break, so nothing's happening. But the future of technology, like, there's no doubt that the Hubble's done great things, but that's all with technology that's 20 plus years old. Correct me for whatever it really is, but that's old technology compared to what we have today. Where do you think that most people are going to be getting their science from? Because, like, before they'd have to go down to Florida, they have to buy, go through Disney World, then they have to buy some trinkets, and then they get to go to NASA. Nowadays, you can go on the web and find more about science, more about space, more about planets out there than you could ever do 30 years ago. So, like, what, in your opinion, is the public going to start seeing from space? Are they going to be able to link directly into feeds from these telescopes? Are they going to be able to help out? What is the public's role in all of this?
Absolutely. So, like with every mission, and let me mention Kepler. Kepler is a good example. Obviously, there is a proprietary period for the data. But now all of the Kepler data, or almost all of the Kepler data, is out there. It's public, so anyone with a laptop can just download data and do their own scientific analysis if they want. So I think it is fair to do so. Obviously, there are many interests involved, so a fair proprietary periods should be in place. Of 1 year typically, but once that year is gone, make it public, obviously, because we want as many people helping us doing science.
But it also takes a good bit of and I guess you could consider it like an investment, right? I mean, these are a lot of parties who took the time and the resources and the expertise and put this incredible technology out there in orbit. And is that the purpose of that year, to give them a chance to see what they discovered with their work and give them a year to publish?
Or is it time to really screw up the data for all the aliens that are just messing everything up and make it look clean?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the people that have actually been involved doing all the hard work, they also want to be the first ones doing the discoveries, right? So they have that proprietary period. Yeah, but I mean, there's still so much data to be analyzed coming from Kepler alone. So much data that we will be working on it for decades to come, and
Well,
everyone is welcome.
You mentioned the age of the system and the size of the planets. Was there what else is there to know about the system that's important?
Well, it is very compact. So we're talking about Kepler 444. Again. So it is very compact. So the 5 planets orbit their star in less than 10 days. So that's what, one
short.
Yeah, that's very short. And also they are they obey some, let's call it a resonance chain. So for example, while the innermost planet rotates orbits 5 times around the parent star, the planet just next to it does it 4 times. So they are synchronized like a Swiss clock.
Really?
All of them. But that actually keeps them together, because if we move a distance equivalent to that of Pluto from the Sun, but in the Kepler 444 system, there is a binary of stars. So we're talking about Kepler 444 with the 5 planets in a very compact orbit, and nearby, gravitationally bound, there are 2 stars, a small binary of red dwarfs. So if it would not be for that compactness of the system, those planets would be just thrown away by the gravitational effects coming from the 2 red dwarfs that live just there in the neighborhood.
So, now you mentioned this is this the surprising discovery about Kepler, because why would one not expect to find planets around such old stars? I mean, what are the implications for theories of planet formation?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, it was not to be expected, because being so old and such. Because in the early universe, we had basically only hydrogen, helium, the lightest elements, and a bit of lithium. Okay, so there were not many heavy metals to be used to form rocky planets or rocky cores of gas giant planets. So it was the first generation of massive stars that synthesized these heavy metals in their interiors, and as they exploded as supernovae, they spread those heavy metals in the interstellar space. So the next generation of stars could use those building blocks to form planets. So you would expect that in the very beginning, in the early galaxy, the probability of rocky planets forming was not that high as it is currently. Okay, so that's how that's where I mean, the aspect that most surprised us relating to the discovery of this system. Another issue that I haven't yet touched on is how can we actually measure the age of a system? Okay, because I mentioned the numbers, 11.2 billion years, but how do we arrive at that number? Okay, and here we need to differentiate between, okay, the exoplanets around a given star and the star itself. So if we want to characterize a given exoplanet, we need to first characterize the star it orbits. And there are many techniques to do that, but possibly the most precise way of doing that is to study starquakes. So just as earthquakes on Earth that allow us to investigate the composition and the structure of the Earth, stars also oscillates, okay, just like musical instruments. For example, the sun itself is an oscillating ball of gas. Obviously, we cannot see those oscillations. They are tiny oscillations, but it does oscillate. And those oscillations have typical periods of 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes, the sun rings like a bell, like a musical instrument that is playing notes and its overtones. And I have distributed the sound clip, so I'm now going to ask Craig to play it.
Now, what is this we're hearing?
So what we were hearing here is a composition made by Caroline Devine. She's a sound artist that works often with us. So she used actual oscillations from the sun with those periods of 5 minutes, and she sped up the frequencies so they fall into our audible range, and just composed this beautiful symphony.
Wow.
So even the star is a better musician than I am. I quit.
Well, it's already a star, Ben. It was easy for it.
Oh, but it.
So yeah, I forgot to say. So this specific field of astrophysics that studies star quakes is called astroseismology. Okay, so the name is self-explanatory. If you apply it to the sun, then you talk about helioseismology.
Okay, so astroseismology. Okay, makes sense. So,
We actually have a question in the chat room, and they want to know that apparently Kepler 444. Apparently, they're somewhat a space buff themselves. Apparently, it has a low mass, or something that they're saying. Is there an expected lifespan? Because, I mean, Kepler looks great, but it's old.
Could it be a dead planet like Mars, say?
You mean the 5 planets? Well, I mean they are so close to their parent star that they should be boiling worlds that no one wants to ever visit. Okay, but the fact here is that, well, okay, no life has developed within these planets, that's for sure, but it doesn't mean that other similarly old systems may not exist with planets orbiting at larger distances, because we need to remember that we are biased towards detecting planets that orbit near their host stars. Okay, so a detection technique such as the transit method will more easily detect large planets close to their stars. Okay, so if we are to detect small planets like the ones around Kepler 444 at larger distances, we would need to observe for longer periods of time. Just like Aaron mentioned a few minutes ago, we need to measure several orbits in order to confirm that's a planet.
now earlier you mentioned the ancient aliens, or I brought that up, and I had that. If ancient and presumably highly intelligent life exists, why haven't we heard from them? You know, what's up with that?
Okay, so that's the famous Fermi paradox, right?
Okay.
So named after Enrico Fermi, which is was a famous 20th century Italian physicist. Yeah, so that's a very good question. I mean, if there are so many Earth-like planets out there, they are common, as we already know, and with that, we would expect many intelligent civilizations to exist. And now with evidence from Kepler 444, we know that these civilizations could actually exist for a period that is double that the age of our own system. So why don't we hear anything, or why don't we know about anything? Maybe because if they are really out there, maybe we cannot just comprehend. Okay, the other day, actually talking to a friend of mine, while having a few beers with him, he came with this analogy, saying, okay, so imagine that there's an ant hill by the side of a highway, and the small ants go about their lives, transporting leaves and dead insects and so on, and they're completely unaware, oblivious to the fact that just next to them there is a highway. where people take their cars, people answer their mobile phones, they have their gadgets and so on. So what if in the cosmic panorama, in the cosmic framework, we are the small anthill by the side of the road, and these evolved civilizations, intelligent civilizations, freely go by and they communicate between themselves, but we are too we don't have the intellect to comprehend this. This could be
I'm gonna raise my hand here and say no with
okay.
that argument, because okay, I understand ants and lower life forms, yes, but we're not ants and we're not lower life forms. We're a highly intelligent species. Granted, we may not have the effect of those, but those advanced species are going to know that we're not just some ants.
I found Cheeto dust in my hair the other day. What do you mean?
Craig,
yeah.
I think it's interesting that half an hour ago you just said, "Hey, we're not special," but now it's, "Hey, but we are really smart."
No, but we're not ants either. The point is,
well,
for example,
it's an analogy, right? Ants are to you as you are to these civilizations.
No, I don't buy that, because no, I don't think so.
Because you don't think anyone out there is. Well, hold on. Tiago, can I take a stab at maybe another analogy for Craig?
Sure.
You can tell me how far off the mark I am. Yeah. Okay, so we all, assuming we're not blind, can walk around and we can see things in the visible spectrum, and that's how we go about our day. We see things and we respond. As we walk around the surface of the planet at this point, we are being at all times bombarded by other regions of the electromagnetic spectrum, right? You've got your cell phone signals, your radio signals, satellites. I mean, it's just everywhere. But we can't see that. We can't comprehend it because we can't even observe it. It's not like I can just feel the cell phone signal and say, oh yeah, someone's trying to call me. We have to have technology to not only know it's there, but to recognize it, interpret it, and so on. And maybe these other civilizations are just operating in whole different regimes. Not only we don't even know to look at, but even if we did manage to find it, we wouldn't even know what we were looking at. So how can we help understand that?
No, absolutely. I mean, or the speed at which our brains process things. I mean, what if an evolved civilization takes 50 years to say hi? Just because that's the speed that they work at. Because they have been there for so long. Well, why does it have to take 2 seconds to say hello, my name is whatever, and we would not be able to understand that.
Especially if it's
I mean, we are not the reference, that's for sure. Actually, one thing I wanted to say is that people have for many years thought that our solar system is a reference. Everything looks like it out there, but it doesn't. We know that the most common planets out there have sizes between Earth and Neptune, and there's nothing like that in our solar system. So there's no planet with a size between Earth and Neptune, and we now know that those are the most common ones. So yeah, assuming that we are the reference is, will bias our reasoning. That's for sure.
I was actually just thinking, we were talking earlier about different types of life, what we can expect, different biochemistries. But what if, I'm just thinking, what if there were a civilization out there that, like you said, maybe they perceive sound at a different, scale of time, and just as your colleague took the audio of the sun and sped it up so it was within our frequency and we could hear it was music. What if there was another form of life that actually already interpreted sound at that rate? And
then you play it backwards, and then you play it backwards and hear the devil.
Think about how cool it would be if you every star you came across was playing music. Every star you looked at was playing music. That would be incredible.
Actually, you're not far out. Most of the stars oscillates, so they're playing music inside. Actually, what we don't hear, when I talk about helioseismology or isoseismology, we don't actually hear the sound coming from the star. The sound is trapped within the star, and obviously there is a vacuum between us and the star, so we don't hear that sound. But that sound manifests itself as small oscillations at the surface of stars. So we actually measure the sound indirectly through the measurement of light. Okay, those tiny.
Wow.
But yes, it's true. They are. Most of the stars are musical instruments. They are musical instruments.
That's
So
like looking at an instrument, and
yes.
you're looking at the strings vibrate, and you're just from looking at the strings vibrate, you are interpreting the sound it almost sounds like.
Correct. You cannot be more.
That is.
So if you, for example, pick the sun and a star smaller than the sun, slightly smaller, so having a smaller resonance cavity, so the typical frequencies of this smaller star will have a higher pitch, right?
Like bells.
So, like bells. So imagine the sun as a trumpet. This small star could be a cornet, having a higher pitch. So by listening to the stars, you can immediately say how big the star is compared to that one. So that gives you that information in a very precise way. Obviously, I'm simplifying things here, but the sound of stars gives you that information about the radius, about the age, about the mass, about the density of stars.
Well, listen, in the minutes that we have left, could you, Tiago, tell us a little bit what the future missions that dedicated to the search of exoplanets? What's up?
Yes. Okay. I'll be a bit biased now and talk about two missions that I'm involved with. One of them is a NASA mission called TESS, which will be launched in 2017. So TESS as in TESS. So this mission will do a survey of the solar neighborhood. So I explained the solar neighborhood is a very small sphere around us with a radius of, let's say, 100 light years. And it will look for planets around the brightest stars in our solar neighborhood. And it should retrieve some 1,000 to 10,000 planetary candidates. So that's a lot. That's more than actually Kepler has done so far. But I would say that the next big thing, or the Kepler successor, let's call it this way, will be the Plato mission. The Plato mission is not a NASA mission, but it's an European Space Agency mission, and it will be launched in 9 years from now. But we already work on it. So you see, there's always a delay between the technology and the mission itself. So we are developing the technology now and the scientific procedures now that will be used in 9-10 years from now. So the Plato mission will most likely give us the first detection of an Earth analog. So I'm talking about an Earth-sized planet orbiting a sun-like star in the habitable zone.
Okay.
Well, I actually have one more really quick question.
Go ahead.
Just because I'm such a nut for futurism and all kinds of stuff like that. So it almost seems, just if I were to fast forward the history, we thought maybe our sun and planets were the only ones out there, and then, okay, there's other stars, but maybe not much else. Then we found planets, not just planets, rocky planets, not just rocky planets, but old planets. Turns out, galaxies full of stuff. Do you think this is putting more of a, the work of astronomers is putting more of an emphasis on the work of engineers to try to get out there and explore more of space? It's dangerous, but it might be worth it with all that you're finding. I know there's been a lot of work building new.
I mean, obviously, this need to know more is also has this engineering machine working behind us. So yeah, this will lead to new breakthroughs in terms of engineering, in terms of reaching that precision we need, right? To detect, for example, compositions of ancient alien atmospheres. I mean, atmospheres of other planets. The sort of precision we need to achieve that is immense. We have that technology now. We have to put it in practice, and if we have the funding to do that, then we can move forward. I mean, we can develop technology. So astronomy is a big, I mean, all these motives are a big thrust in terms of developing engineering and technology, obviously. So stay with us, astronomers.
I'm just thinking if astronomers have cameras this sensitive, imagine what cell phones are going to look like in 5 years.
Obviously.
Oh my gosh! You could just hold it up to the sun and figure out if we're having, you know,
Well,
some kind
they
of.
just announced the clock that loses 1 second in 16 billion years. Something ridiculous thing that that came out.
Yeah, the new atomic clock.
A new atomic clock that's going to basically, puts the other ones to shame, and basically just keeps perfect time, if there is such a thing. And I'm sure we'll see those technologies incorporated into what Tiago was involved with as well. Listen, I want to thank you for being with us here tonight, Tiago. It's certainly very, very interesting. Of course, they can go to the University of Birmingham in United Kingdom if they want to get more information about what they're doing there. We actually have a link to the website at our website at computeramerica.com. You have March the 6th, and you can just look at that show, and we have a link to the website there. Listen, Dr. Tiago Campante, I want to thank you very much for being with us here tonight. It was very enlightening and certainly a pleasure having you here on the show. And thank you so much for taking the time to be with us tonight.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, listen, get some sleep. That's
I will. I have a 2-year-old daughter that is about to wake up.
And scientists don't sleep anyways, right? You guys are powered on coffee and creativity.
All right, take care again. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Good night. Bye-bye. All right.
What was that line? Coffee and creativity?
Yeah.
Coffee.
Hard-line narcotics, not coffee and creativity. Do the
no,
work, scientists.
It's definitely coffee. And creativity.
Well, listen, I think it's a really, really interesting program. Now, coming up in the next hour, we're going to have computer technology news brought to you by Slimmer Utilities. We have a show reminder winner of the week. We have the last of our News Test Bulletin a review from Marty Winston coming up as well. And see, what else do we have? Yes, Ben's review of Chappie, the movie that came out today. So we're going to have his kick on, his slant on that movie. You're listening to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. Ben, myself, and Aaron are going to stay here into the next hour. As I mentioned, we're going to have a show reminder of the week coming up as well. So we're going to be back just in a moment. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I am your co-host, Ben.
Yes, and Ben and Aaron.
I'm Ben's arch nemesis, Aaron.
Yes, arch nemesis.
The intruder.
We're about to start the news section, or as I like to call it, the continuing series of keeping Ben humble.
Yes, or have an intruder. We have an intruder alert, although we have it. Yeah, okay. So,
I thought you said you were taking away the soundboard, Ben.
No, he's hanging on to it. He has like his fetal position, so it's hard.
We're again thanks to Dr.
I don't think the soundboard is a problem. I think the sound cart is outdated.
Thanks again to Dr. Tiago Campante from the University of Birmingham in the United Kingdom, postdoctoral research fellow. So
hopefully one of many exciting interviews we're going to bring this month. Right?
Young guy. He's a very young guy too. Yeah,
very
exactly.
very smart. No, the I think it's worth mentioning. This is yet another month Computer America is doing a theme, and the theme this
Yes.
month is for science, because Computer America is for science,
I
and
gotta
that
get
was
I gotta get that weird science soundtrack for this. Science? Exactly.
but that was tonight's guest was part of a continuing
Was
series.
we know that you are closely related to the booking goddess? Was the because we had the assistant professor of computer science from MIT earlier in the week. Was that also
Yes.
for science?
Yes,
All
Yes.
right.
you
It was,
guys
but
need to
it was computer science, and but it's, so
it's science,
we talked about
science and technology.
Web is what we talked about the programming language for developing
Oh
websites.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, sue us. We missed the company email.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, all right. Well, let's. We got some interesting news stories, and as I mentioned, we have our show reminder winner of the week, and we've got the Ben's. Oh, actually, Ben, why don't you give us a review of Chappie? We can start. We can lead off with that before we get into the computer news. You saw Chappie this afternoon. It just came out today. The movie about this artificially intelligent robot, and I don't. I'm afraid to ask for thumbs up or thumbs down because I think I'm going to get a thumbs down from you. But what did you think of the movie?
All right. I've been waiting to tear into this one all night. So,
No
Chappie,
spoilers.
new movie.
No
I give
spoilers.
it a. What I'm gonna say about it is eh. All right, we're done. Well, you say no spoilers, but there's bound to be something a little bit spoilery. Let's just do broad strokes here, broad strokes, so we don't ruin anything for you guys. Chappie is rated R, and when you have a cute robot and it's artificial intelligence, something kind of future sci-fi thing, you think at most PG-13. Maybe if you take away some of the more crude stuff, you might get it down to PG. This one is rated R, and it earned that rating multiple times over. Okay?
Really?
Yeah, Chappie. Chappie. Sounds like an cute, adorable name.
And it's a robot, right?
It's a robot. It earned the rated R numerous times. So if you think, oh, it's going to be a cute robot flick for the family, no, do not bring your kids to this movie if they are, under 16, 17. Do not.
Because it's usually especially hard for movies about robots to get rated R, because there's just not a lot of gore. It's all machine.
There was gore. There was hard drug use. Like narcotics is like one of the major themes in the movie. Organized crime, that kind of thing, was one of the major themes in the movie. So it really surprised me because I knew going into it was going to be rated R. I just didn't know why it would be. But
How
after
does a
seeing
robot?
it was like, yeah.
How?
How?
Well,
You mean how did it earn the R? There was gore.
No.
Like people.
I'm just trying to understand how it's a movie where the protagonist is a robot, and elements of the story involve gore, drug use. I mean, it's a robot. How's it gonna use drugs? I mean,
The whole thing in broad strokes, it's a guy creates artificial intelligence on his own through and he works for a weapons company, who deals mainly with new technology for arms. Really, Chappie is just one of hundreds of police robots that are being used to patrol South Africa. Like this, it takes place in South Africa, not in Chicago, not in Detroit. It takes place in South Africa.
like District
So,
9.
yeah, sort of like District. Like really, the animation kind of reminded me of District 9. It was the entire time you're watching this Chappie robot, and I don't know if they really had a stand-in, if they had someone in a costume, and they kind of went back and altered it later.
No,
But the acting with Chappie was crazy impressive.
it's the same technology they use for Gollum.
Gollum.
Gollum, yeah, it's the little dots on the suits.
Okay, well, it was there was not a fault to be seen in the graphics and things like that. It was stunning, just watching that robot move around. So that was really cool. But yeah, earned the rated R. And for anyone who didn't know, Sigourney Weaver's in this, so now you have to go see it. And
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. Yeah. Okay, and that was one of my big points about this is, the movie takes place over about a week, and during this week, two of the characters run in and out of this weapons factory, and they're taking everything from high-powered explosives to arms to secret confidential software to parts of actual robotics, and they're just walking in the front door, taking all these things, throwing them in the back of a van, and leaving for about a week. Like, it's not like one time. Like, they're just coming in and out of this weapons factory, just carrying armloads of spare parts and guns and grenades.
No one stops them.
And no one stopped. No, and like the guards just like, go on through. We know you. Like no one even stops and asks, hey, so do you have any grenades back there? Oh, you do? Oh yeah. Like not a single person. Hugh Jackman can just walk out with a 6-ton Goliath, and everyone's like, oh yeah, whatever. Like there are some points that if you are a stickler for technology, it will make you mad.
Well,
but that's any modern movie.
Yeah.
Now, Hugh Jackman actually is one of the few roles he takes where he plays a bad guy.
He is a bad guy. He is a. Okay. You know, this is such
spoiler
a small,
alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. This is such a small part of the movie. I don't mind exposing it. At one point, he actually takes out his sidearm in the office. Think of a cubicle scenario. Think bullpen. Takes out his sidearm and threatens the one of the characters with his sidearm in the office in the bullpen, and everyone just looks over and goes, "Huh." And goes back to work. He is pointing this gun in the guy's face. Like, and no one cares. No one cares. No one cares. It might as well be, oh, that's Hugh Jackman. Who cares?
No, it sounds to me more like social commentary.
That should have been HR number 1. They should have gotten an email and retraining and anger management lessons all over the place. So there are some inconsistencies. Like, overall, I was entertained. And then I was caught off guard by the rated R because that hits you in the face kind of a little bit later in the movie, but then you realize, oh yeah, that's definitely rated R. And but I was entertained. I was entertained.
So bottom line then, as Marty Winston says, bottom line is, do you recommend it or you don't?
Bottom line is, I was entertained, but then I was mad after watching it. So
okay, it made an impression then.
And there is a reviewing system. I forget which website uses it, but there is watch it, rent it, or leave it, or something along those lines, where either you watch it in the theaters, or you wait for the rental, or you just don't even bother watching it at all. This is solidly in the rent it, and then if this is just a subject that entertains you and you like District 9 kind of stuff, watch it.
Okay,
but definitely at least rent it.
Better to make you angry and what have you than leave you.
It was not boring. It was not any of the. It was not boring. It was not any of the other things. It was just, a little angry, which is okay.
Okay. Did you see it? It's not in 3D, right? It's just regular. There's no 3D after.
There's IMAX.
IMAX. Did you see it in IMAX or regular?
I saw it in regular.
Okay. All right. Good. All right, well, there you go. That's our movie review from Ben, our movie reviewer and gamer.
It's about the second movie I've seen in about 4 years, so enjoy it.
Yes, exactly. I think it's time we'll do some computer news now, because we got a lot of great stories to do. Let's do it.
All right.
Tonight's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system for...
Oh, you waiting for me again? For free.
For free, okay. Yes, everything on the Slimware Utilities website is completely free. He's so fast on the pickup,
Why do you keep doing it?
Because I don't know. I figure one day you'll get it right on target. It is.
He enjoys the banter.
Yes, and yes, we use Slimware Utilities here at the Crossman household. They're all free. We recommend that you download them all. Keep them on standby if you must, but use them. You're going to be very happy that you did, and you'll thank us for it. SlimwareUtilities.com. And in this first story tonight, I wanted to do this. What was it? This the one with the it's one with the Apple Watch. I thought I had a flag. Let me just get it back here. Evidently, The Apple Watch is on its way, and there is a story about the Apple Watch, and I have misplaced it. I can't find it here. This is really bizarre. All right. Anyway, since I can't find it, I will do. I guess I'll just do a different story. And where is this one here?
Now who's on the ball?
Well, it was. Oh, here. Never put your speakers on the floor. Now, why wouldn't you want to put your speakers on the floor? According to CNET, it's just plain wrong, because putting any small speaker on the floor forfeits a major share of its sound quality. Now, this again, according to Steve Gutenberg, who writes for CNET, not the actor, obviously. I cringe every time I see a small speaker sitting on the floor. It all but guarantees they'll sound dull because most of their mid-range and treble detail will never make it up to your ears. The one good thing about putting speakers on the floor is that their bass output will be boosted relative to what a bookshelf, satellite monitor, or Bluetooth speaker will deliver when placed on a table. Okay, so that's a... But the boundary reinforcement of floor placement maximizes bass, but putting a speaker within a few inches or centimeters or directly up against a wall will also aid bass reinforcement.
So that should have come with some fine print, really. It doesn't sound like you should never have it on the floor. It sounds like you should have your
woofer.
The subwoofer. Exactly. You have your woofer on the floor and every other speaker off the floor.
My woofers are only allowed on the floor.
I know those tweeters and woofers and
exactly
meowers.
Yes, two woofers. But ideally, you should have the speakers placed so their tweeters are as close as possible to the same height as your ears when you're listening. Hey, it's easy enough to experiment with different placements, and you'll see if you hear a difference. And I'm sure you will. You will. Ideally, you should be as close as possible to the same distance from the left and right speakers. Yes, that's obviously balanced. Like you want that.
So
yeah.
Keep the tweeters from the woofers and the left away from the right.
Yeah. You definitely want to stay away from. You want to keep the woofers on the floor.
You keep your tweeters on the left and the woofers on the right.
Yeah, the woofers on the right. They agree. Okay, so you might also want to. You also might want to try different locations in your room, each of the four walls if possible, and chances are good that each location will sound different. Sometimes a lot different, and one will be the obvious best. Okay. So if the speaker is in bass shy, try moving away from the wall behind it in 6-inch increments. He says, I find most speakers that produce satisfying bass sound best placed 12 inches or more away from the wall behind them. Play the same one or two songs over and over again as you experiment with these placement scenarios so you can more easily track the difference. You may be amazed by how much better your music can sound when you find the perfect location for the speakers. That's it. So that's it. Okay. So speaker placement is very important.
If you're an audiophile and you're really caring about this kind of stuff, you're pretty much already have experimented with subwoofer placement, speaker placement, the acoustics of whichever room you're trying to put speakers in. It makes a huge difference if you if you have a pretty decent sound system with placement.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
All right. Aaron, would you like the next story, or would you like myself to go?
There was one story I actually found earlier today. I'm trying to see if I can find it again.
Okay, well, while Aaron does that, I have a story already lined up. Aaron, you're too slow to look up. Anyways, this next story, this one is from JBG News. I have no idea what that means, but the subject matter caught my eye, and it's really, really important. So apparently, and this, Aaron, you're going to want to pay attention to this, because this involves torrenting and Bitcoin mining. So Google Chrome is one of the most popular web browsers available for free these days, and though it has an unfortunate side effect for some people recently, according to a recent report on Torrent Freak, the web browser is blocking downloads from the popular download client uTorrent. Anyone who attempts to download the software will receive an error saying the software is malicious and harmful. This led many to believe the website was hacked, which has happened in the past, but no one can confirm whether it's the case or not. So, there are millions of new downloads each month for uTorrent, making it the most used BitTorrent client available. The fact that it makes this information worth noting, as hundreds, if not thousands, of new installs were blocked by Google recently. The versions of uTorrent being blocked was the most stable release from the software company, which makes this even more odd. And the article seems to be a little bit out of date with some of the new information that I've found, and apparently, get this, uTorrents. And yes, it's for torrenting, and sometimes torrenting isn't always for bad, but let's face it, uTorrent is generally used for bad. uTorrents, the designers of the code and uTorrent as a company has apparently surreptitiously put in Bitcoin mining software in the background of uTorrent. So for everyone who's using uTorrent, they have put in snippets of code where they're actually making everyone who's using their product be a small part of their Bitcoin mining operation.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Bitcoin mining, it has two functions. Really, what Bitcoin mining is you're using your computer power to help stabilize the infrastructure of the Bitcoin, and you get rewarded by being awarded little pieces of Bitcoins, and that's why they call it mining. So if they're piggybacking software that strengthens the Bitcoin infrastructure onto the peer-to-peer networking software, not only does that make perfect sense, but those are people likely to want to support Bitcoin infrastructure anywhere.
That's not good though, because they're running this code in the background. They haven't let anyone know, which is one of the reasons why Google Chrome has blocked it. Is because at this point it is surreptitious, software that no one is downloading uTorrent and agreeing to these terms. It's just running in the background.
You're telling me there's no other reason why Google Chrome might want to stop file sharing?
There probably is, and there are plenty of other resources that don't turn your computer into a secret mining machine. And no, look, when you have this code running in the background, it makes your computer run slower, it makes it heat up, makes it more unstable, and it even uses more electricity.
That depends on the footprint.
And the footprint may be minor, but when you're talking thousands upon thousands of computers, all of that profit is only going to uTorrent. It's not like uTorrent is saying, "Hey, thanks for helping, joining our collective. We're going to give you some of the proceeds."
It's not about the profit.
No, all of it is going to uTorrent.
No, it's not about the profit. uTorrent is almost doing a service by putting in this code.
Bitcoin is so stable right now. This is not even important.
Really?
Bitcoin is so stable.
It's so stable, it's not possible that anything could happen to it. First of all, you've got, every now and then you see Bitcoin banks go belly up and you lose Bitcoins all the time.
That's more of the politics of Bitcoin.
That's more of these are Bitcoin infrastructure varies. It's not all right out there in the open, and I mean, really, the infrastructure is still being developed. The technology is still being developed. But I mean, this is kind of the article. Actually, I found the article. We're going to have it more in depth. Hopefully, we'll have Charles on to talk about it some night, because this is all touching on cryptography, which is his forte. But there was an article recently. It said that the Tor browser. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Yep.
The onion routing. Apparently, the hacker group that claimed responsibility for hacking Sony. What's it called? Something Lizard.
Lizard Squad.
Broken Lizard.
No, Lizard Squad. Lizard Squad also attempted to attack the Onion router, and they actually did something that was, I guess you could call it, statistically significant. They actually managed to make a dent in it, and that's something that you'd think is guaranteed to be robust. That's for protecting espionage assets, for protecting people who are being persecuted. You want that to be good, but even if the Onion router is susceptible to attack, Bitcoin is got to be just as fragile. It's almost the same technology.
If you're talking about the instability and the pricing, that is definitely more politics. There are Bitcoin exchanges that go bust. There are Bitcoin exchanges that get raided by the FBI because of money laundering and things like that. Sometimes even lone individuals who have a couple hundred Bitcoin saved up, if they sell all, or if they cash out all their Bitcoin at one time at a particular Bitcoin, think Mt. Gox, then they can actually fluctuate the price just by one person selling their Bitcoin. Not that they're hacking, not that the Bitcoin infrastructure is shaky. It's just that the prices is very much dependent on the politics and the actual user input of of Bitcoin. So just the infrastructure is very, very solid. I have not heard a single person yet saying, wow, Bitcoin is really struggling for more computers. We need more CPUs. This is more about uTorrent getting their hands on as many computers as possible and getting some free Bitcoin mining on their behalf through their users. Because what are the users going to do? Are they going to take them to the Better Business Bureau? They can't do crap.
Well, there's plenty of competition.
There is,
go to another
which we kind of which we won't advocate here, but yeah, there is competition which people should really look into.
It's not that they would be reported to the Better Business Bureau, but they would just go to the competition. Well, okay, Ben, how about this? What if they were more open about it? What if they said this is something we're adding?
They should totally
You can disable it.
The only way this would be okay is if somewhere in the installation process it says check here if you're okay with mining bitcoins for uTorrent Incorporated. That would be the only okay way. Right now they're just, and by the way, this is not. If you downloaded uTorrent a year ago and then you just got the latest update yesterday or the day before, then you would now have the Bitcoin mining software on that last update. It's not even new ones or anything like that. They're pushing it through updates surreptitiously.
Well, here's the thing. I just want to clarify this. I am not in favor of surreptitiously, as you put it, putting in Bitcoin mining software on people's computers without their knowledge and consuming their resources for someone else's profit. That is very shady, to say the least. But I also think that it's worth mentioning Bitcoin mining, by itself is something that does generate money, that is responsible for the stability of these cryptocurrencies. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think this was handled very poorly, and it was entirely potentially in bad taste, but it doesn't mean that what they're doing is, through and through evil and corrupt.
It is through and through evil and corrupt in the fact that they're doing it without the user's consent. We have talked on the show before about, we actually had an individual who you can buy little mini computers that will Bitcoin mine for you.
Right.
We've talked many a time about how to mine your own Bitcoin. We've had people on talking about that. Mining your own Bitcoin is all well and good because you are getting the proceeds of spending your resources in electricity, computing power, all that kind of thing, time, that kind of thing.
I really think you're losing something in the terminology. You're calling it mining, but it's not just mining. It's like your computer is helping process these transactions. People out there want to exchange bitcoins. It requires third-party computers to support the to provide the computational power for the network. Like, if you want cryptocurrencies to exist, someone's got to mine it.
But again, there's not a shortage out there of computers to run those kinds of to verify those transactions.
Even if there's not a shortage, that doesn't mean it couldn't benefit from more redundancy. That's one of the hallmarks of modern technology.
But that's one of the things that's making a lot of large-scale Bitcoin mining operations not profitable.
Because everyone's doing it.
So many people verifying these transactions, you're getting such a small percentage of a Bitcoin.
That means it's better for everyone actually making the transactions and harder for miners. That's fine.
It's harder for miners, but it's incredibly easy if uTorrent is not paying for everyone's electricity, they're not paying for everyone's computer, they're not paying for everyone's time. They're just slipping code in there just to.
I don't know if this code is burning up their processor or if it's just a slow trickle. Again, it was done in poor taste.
Okay, even if it was a slow trickle, is that okay?
Not without consent.
Okay, that's where we are. It's they did it without anyone's consent.
Well,
they were only found out after the fact.
Right.
If anything, this is malware.
I'm just saying, mining is not bad. Mining using other people's computers without their permission is bad. I just wanted to make sure that carried through.
How about mining using other people's computers with their permission?
Sure.
Perfect. Go join a Bitcoin mining collective. There are
Well,
many out there. You can sign up for them on websites. Go for it. Turn your computer
that's
into a
actually
Bitcoin mining machine. Go for it. But that is not what the article at hand was talking about.
right. It was about the breach of privacy. We've passed that. We're moving on, Ben. Come on. Keep up.
Okay.
You can't make me beat a dead horse and then yell at me for beating a dead horse.
No, I yelled at you for beating the dead horse, and then you beat it again.
All right. I have a question. I have a question for both of you. Does anyone buy CDs anymore, or even Blu-ray discs anymore? That's the question posed by Tom McNamara from Maximum PC in the light of NVIDIA Shield and Grid. You can stream so much stuff for a few bucks a month that it's hard to make an argument for physical media these days. Those two mediums have nearly leapfrogged the downloading phase that PC games have been in for a decade since the dawn of Steam. Now, NVIDIA is making a push for streaming games too, as its new Shield console is central to that effort. We sat down today for a talk presented by Eric Young, an engineering manager at NVIDIA, who gave them some more details about how Shield handles streaming from the company's cloud-based server dubbed Grid. NVIDIA Grid has been streaming major PC titles to the Shield tablet and Shield Portable for 9 months now, so its existence is probably not news but in case it is, NVIDIA pitches it like this. You can buy a game and be playing it in less than a minute. You can use it on mobile devices that would otherwise choke. Game updates themselves without you. The games update themselves without you needing to download a patch, and it solves a lot of problems with piracy.
Question.
Now, yes.
Were you asking us a question, or did you just leapfrog Aaron in his story?
Actually, I was going to bring up an embarrassing story about Craig, if it's all right. Is
yeah. Just cut to that. Go to that.
He started with CDs and DVDs, and Chris and I were totally going through his closet the other day, and we found a couple boxes of like 3.5-inch floppies.
Wait till you get to the 7-inch floppies.
I don't want to say your closet's dating yourself, Craig, but you might want to clear out the 80s.
There's crucial information on those floppies that he really needs.
Yeah, we might need it someday. Who
you
knows?
put all 4 of them together, you get a user manual.
Yeah, exactly. Or we can send them to Kepler. The secret sauce is that the game runs in the cloud itself. Then a video of the gameplay is shot down the series of tubes into your computer. Now, it sounds to me like this is going to be competing with things like Steam. Ben, what do you think? I mean, you move your mouse, and you see the mouse move in the game.
No.
In half of a blink of an eye, according to the CEO. No? Okay.
No, you asked my opinion, and then you just keep going. No, this will not compete with Steam in the sense that you're thinking.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's continue this story when we come back. We also have a show reminder winner of the week coming up here on the program. You're listening to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network, and the Boost Radio Network. We'll be right back with more computer technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. Stay with us. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized.
Who's a good boy?
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number. 1-866-663-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV.
On behalf of the people of America, we welcome you. Hi, this is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America, this time the ScanSnap SV600. The ScanSnap group at Fujitsu continues to make the best performing end-user scanners in the category, and their UltraStance SV600 looks a little bit like a banker's desk lamp, takes that in a whole new direction. It's an overhead scanner, not just a camera, with a band of LED light that scans across a sheet, a book, or an object up to 1 inch plus thick, more or less nodding its head to feed the CCD optics. It's smart enough to keep working when you turn pages or flip sheets. Their software is intuitive, if a bit quirky, but happily, it all just works. Bottom line, the new ScanSnap SV600 stand scanner brings ScanSnap speed, quality, and convenience to whole new realms. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. 33 minutes past the hour. In the second hour on a Friday, that means, yes, show reminder winner of the week time.
Right, it is time to do that. Some lucky person is going to get the Logitech wireless rechargeable glass touchpad T650 valued at $80.
I hope
And
it's
that
me.
and that person is
Is it me?
Kevin Young.
That's so close.
Kevin Young, congratulations. You win the Logitech wireless rechargeable touchpad T650 valued at $80, and we'll get that out to you sometime next week. Again, head over to computeramerica.com, enter in all of our contests. It's right there on our contest page, just under the first pull-down interact menu. You'll see it there. All of our contests are there. We highly recommend that you enter in all of them. You'll have a lot of fun playing them. It's all private. We give your information out to no one, unless you're a winner, and then we'll give them your contact information so they can mail you your prize. You'll have, as I said, who knows, you might win something really, really nice. Check out all of our contests at computeramerica.com. Again, congratulations to Kevin Young. All right, so we continue on with our news story, and before the break, I was telling about this new NVIDIA Grid and Shield and Grid, their cloud gaming advantages, and I mentioned to Ben, I said, is this going to compete with Steam? And he went, no. And you told me why, and you didn't tell us why.
Because Steam is for computers, and the Steam machines that are coming out, they are a great digital distribution platform for video games for computers, but this is its own gaming service. So this is using the built-in controller and monitor into the NVIDIA Shield controller. If you've ever seen it, it's really a controller and a console built into the same unit. So you will never be able to get Steam on this unit itself. Get
Okay.
it? So like Steam, there's no way for Steam to compete in this marketplace because you only have access to Grid.
Right.
And using Grid, you'll be able to purchase any kind of game. You'll be able to purchase any game, download the app for your computer, stream video, that kind of thing. It's kind of turning the Shield into a more connected device. So again, Steam not really getting into the picture in the whole thing. But what the Shield is doing, Uh, kind of why people are liking it is because it's cloud computing to an extreme. It's buying access to the video games in the cloud and then using your console to essentially stream the game, stream you playing the game on their computers, on their hardware, and only using the hardware inside your controller to the bare minimum to process the images for the monitor on the controller, things like that, all the other controls, and really the hard labor is being done off in the cloud. Now, where that's not good is that greatly increases latency. If you've ever played a game and maybe you click something and then 2 seconds later it happened, or you turn and it takes 5 seconds, that is latency. And when that gets too bad, games get very unplayable. You want really, really quick reaction times, because if your reactions are up there and the game is slowing you down, you're just going to get frustrated to the point where you don't want to play it. And 150 milliseconds doesn't sound like much, but that's a pretty noticeable delay. And if you're playing games like first-person shooters, if you're playing games like a real-time strategy or something like that, you're going to notice 150 milliseconds. And again, that's 150 milliseconds in ideal conditions, in ideal laboratory conditions through Wi-Fi. So you can expect to get maybe 200 to 300 using this thing. That can be cut down by plugging it directly into an Ethernet port or something along those lines, but expect to maybe not play the very competitive games and just play some of the slower-paced RPGs, racing games, things like that. It should be able to handle those well. It says that it kind of requires broadband internet Wi-Fi, so 15 to 25 megabits per second. Maybe to some people out there that doesn't seem like a lot, but to probably even more, that seems like a dream come true to get 15 to 25 megabits per second Wi-Fi. Other than that, though, it's pretty much all built-in cloud. It's a pretty nifty solution. Apparently, it's able to play 4K resolution videos on the console, and as we all know, Netflix is coming out with 4K streaming soon, so it will be able to handle that right out of the box. And yeah,
all right.
They developed some new hardware in the grid. They released that at the Global Developers Conference recently. So it's something a little bit new, a little bit fresh, and if you're big into the first iteration of the NVIDIA Shield, this is right up your alley.
Well, I was I was doing some research earlier today for the show, and there was an article that I came across that said they weren't quite sure how tablets were going to make the jump to basically high performance gaming and computing. Tablets and mobile devices as a trend have been just destroying the PC market. Most people are satisfied with just a smartphone or a tablet or even just a really capable laptop. And really, it almost seems that the one thing the PC market still has is gaming. You can still have all this incredible hardware that will produce the great images that we're all expecting. This, if we're trying to compare it to a computer, it's not even a fair fight. The computer's going to have better graphics, shorter latencies, going to be, corded and not Wi-Fi typically. But, this technology does seem, in the context of tablets, to be exactly what is needed to go the next step. This is going to allow tablets, without having a lot of hardware built into them, to take advantage of the hardware in the cloud and then just deliver using what technology that they already have, the experience that they're missing.
It's for lower powered solutions, so maybe not even tablets and the NVIDIA Shield, which is its own handheld console kind of deal, but also for maybe older computers, older laptops, older desktops that haven't been upgraded in 7-8 years. They'll be able to use a service such as the NVIDIA Grid and be able to play games, because again, most of the horsepower is being done in the cloud, and you may get a little bit of a latency drop, but in return for actually playing the game on decent settings, people may be completely fine with that. So this kind of technology is good. The only downside to it is the latency, which really is, for gaming, kind of a huge deal breaker.
It's actually really interesting enough. If you ever use a computer system at like a really big company, usually the way they set them up is they have some kind of mainframe somewhere, and then most of the computers on the site are just terminals, right? They're just a keyboard, a mouse, a monitor, maybe speakers, just so you can interact. And this one computer might have 50 terminals set up, accessing it at the same time. This almost looks like, you know, the future of computing could be just a global terminal type system, as you have these huge banks of cloud computers, and the average computer is just barely enough to receive the image and for you to manipulate, and send it back.
That's Craig. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how computers used to be, especially at large institutions where you
Yeah.
had pretty much one giant computer, and then you just had access terminals everywhere.
Well, that's true, but it's also the dream envisioned by the what's this, a millionaire, multi-billionaire.
Pee Wee Herman,
No,
Donald Trump.
Elon Musk.
not Elon Musk, but anyway, I'll think of his minute. No, but
Richard
Steve
Branson.
Buscemi.
long before this started happening, he said that's computing in the future. Of course, now we're talking about the cloud. Well, basic computers would be just basically dumb terminals or smart terminals, actually, and most everything would be on a remote site, and that's what we're seeing with cloud computing. So he was he was on the right track.
Is he an author?
No, I'll think
Yeah.
I'll think of his name in a minute. But anyhow, I'll be in the middle of another story, and I'll think of his name.
Okay.
But in the meantime, you're right. The early computers, they were all terminals, and you would just access the mainframe computer because computers this size didn't have much power way back then.
That's actually a great example. I mean, that is what's happening in this instance. If you look at that old instance, computers were literally the size of a room.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't pack a room into all these different terminals. But what you can do is just put just enough technology in that terminal to interact with the large computer. And that's what they're doing here, too.
Yeah,
They're
no.
putting just enough tech in this little device to interact with the big computer somewhere else, and they're just broadcasting the game to you.
And like right now, it's making up for the shortcomings of the hardware. But in the future, when the hardware on the server side is so powerful that there is probably no deficit to run to running it in the cloud. And of course, this is going to come with speed ups in internet speed, internet connectivity, fiber optics, all that kind of thing, where latency will no longer be an issue, and computational power will just be so much better in one central location. Then yeah, it makes sense. But right now, it doesn't make sense, and right now it's kind of a stopgap measure. But it's still cool technology that should be explored.
Larry Ellison is the name of the CEO of Oracle Sun System, Microsystems.
Yeah.
That was his vision way back in the 80s. So
Right. It almost does seem like this is a step back, but it could just be something they're just trying as a concept.
Hey, we reported this the other day that the Apple Pay system was being compromised, but it wasn't the technology; it was really social engineering that was causing people to break into people's accounts. Well, evidently, according to Engadget today, banks are responding to the fraud with improved verification for Apple Pay. Now, reports of thieves using stolen payment info with Apple Pay surfaced earlier this week, as I mentioned, and banks are already stepping up security measures. In fact, the culprits used the software to employ credit card details stolen during Target's massive breach in 2013. The Wall Street Journal reports that those financial institutions are making customers take extra steps to verify that cards are being entered into Apple's mobile payment platform that they actually belong to them. Tools like one-time authorization codes, a call to a customer service, and security questions are being used to confirm identities for those who want to pay with an iPhone. What's more, some banks will require you to authorize Apple Pay by signing into your online banking. If you recall, Apple Pay itself remains locked down, and the fraudsters were able to take advantage of banks' rather lazy identity checks. Of course, even with the added checks, you'll want to keep a close eye on things to ensure someone hasn't swiped your card number. So Apple Pay really still remains very secure. It was just that the banks, that the security was kind of lax, and now obviously they're stepping that up. So
There's
don't
a
worry.
great example, Ben. That's a great example of a situation where you'd think it'd already be secure, right? But it could always benefit from more security, especially with currency, because we're just
You know,
talking about Bitcoin.
But it also
yeah.
seems like they're adding protection for people's stupidity at some point, because again, it wasn't really a problem with the hardware. It was social engineering that was causing the hacks to go through. So through another step of verification, they're hoping to reduce the I hate to say it, folks, but the stupidity in the general public.
That is a constant battle that is always fought.
Yep, and
Yeah,
especially when technology gets to a point where the weak spot is no longer the encryption, the weak spot is no longer the passwords, the weak spot is no longer that. The weak spot is the person.
mhm.
It will always be the weakest link.
But I mean that's where at that point it becomes more of an information war, right? People need to understand how prevalent the threats are, or I mean, just need to have a sense of scope and scale. I don't want to start scaring people and saying, oh yeah, every single password's going to fail, it's your fault. But I mean, these are
No, folks. Don't listen to Aaron. Keep using the password.
no. It's these are situations where people use the same passwords over and over and over again. So when one breach happens and they find that, only for Target, this person with this name used this password. Okay, well, let's do a Google search for what other accounts this person has. Try that password, and bam, they get in. I mean, that's a great example of there's nothing an algorithm can do to say, yeah, that's a great password. It's just at that point this person was not using multiple passwords. You lose one password. If it's the same password, you're going to lose access. In fact, that's just a very, very good principle to keep in mind. If you're someone who does share passwords, keep in mind that if any one of those, programs should be compromised, any other service that uses the same password is potentially up for grabs.
We go over this all the time. This is what actually happened with the iTunes hack. And what happened was people were getting hacked through iTunes through a simple zero-day security threat, and they were finding out their passwords, and then they were also getting the email addresses for that. And then through email addresses and usernames, they were going to the popular banking sites, they were going to popular email sites, they were going to all these different places, and they were just quickly putting in all the information that they had into all of these sites, and they were getting banking information, they were getting emails, they were getting tons and tons of other accounts just through a simple iTunes. The thing that you bought the latest Britney Spears album on, just compromise your entire bank
Britney
account and all of your
Spears.
personal information. What can I say? She has a great voice. Love her to death. But that's not the point right now. It's people reuse and reuse and reuse, and hackers know that. It's not a secret.
Yeah, especially with emails. That's such a critical one because, you go to any service and it says, oh, did you forget your password? We'll email you a new one. So once they have your email password, you might as well give them everything because they can go to any service that you use and say, please send me a new one, and they'll get new passwords generated for everything. It's definitely something worth.
One of the big pushes for biometrics is for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Ben, you want to pick a story?
Nope, because Aaron said he had one earlier, but I was wondering if he'd actually found it.
I did actually. It's going to be the subject of. So we'll have Charles back on the show one night to talk about it because it's
Oh,
really
okay, so you don't
juicy.
want to talk about it right now?
No, you're not good enough.
Okay.
I'm gonna get Charles on the show, and I'll talk to him because he appreciates the finer things in the Neanderthal.
Well,
I'm sure he does. As you waft your arrogance through the room, it's bittersweet cologne, sir. Bittersweet. Anyways, no, Craig, I got this one. Apparently, Apple. Yes, you know them. They make apples.
Yes.
Apple lands prime spot
They
in the
make
Dow as
Macintoshes.
AT&T departs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Dow Jones Industrial Average is about to become a lot more Apple friendly. Starting March 19th, Apple will replace AT&T in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, an index that tracks 30 U.S. blue chip companies and is a leading bellwether of the nation's economic performance. The selection of Apple for the vaunted stock market measure came easily, according to the S&P Dow Jones
Indices.
That one, which manages index, which manages the index. Let's see, little quote saying Apple is huge. We love them. The Dow Jones Industrial Average membership means Apple lands even more investors than it already has because many portfolio funds automatically invest in those 30 companies. But the Dow represents just another feather in Apple's cap. Over the last several years, the Cupertino, California-based tech giant has generated billions of dollars in profit, billions, selling iPhones, iPads, Macs, iPods, and other products. Apple is now the world's most valuable company with a market capitalization of $740.4 billion. I know saying 0.4 after 740 doesn't seem like a lot, but that's $400 million just in that 0.4. So crazy. Exxon, the second most valuable company, is by market cap is at $360 billion.
Wow.
So yes, you could sell your Apple and go buy 2 Exxon Mobiles.
Yeah, literally. Apple has become the number one company in the world, and I guess AT&T didn't have anything to say about it either.
I don't know about that, Craig. I think a lot of it has to do with what you're doing and not just how much money you have.
Well, that's true too.
I think Apple has a ton of money, but what are they doing with it?
That's what market capitalization is. It's not just how much money you have sitting in a bank somewhere, but how much you've invested in other companies. If you pieced out and sold every part of your supply chain, every part of your advertising department, every part of your hardware manufacturing, if you pieced out every single part, Apple would be worth $740 billion. Doesn't mean they have that in liquid assets, means that they're just worth that much.
Right.
And speaking of Apple, I just wanted to get this announcement in that the March the 9th, Apple is about to hold an event called the March 9th Spring Forward Presentation, which will largely answer the remaining questions about the Apple Watch. However, that list of questions is seemingly a mile long. I mean, how much will it cost to get a watch you want? What is the battery life like? Are there any surprise features? And is this all before you factor in rumors about other devices showing up like new iPads or MacBooks? It's all a bit of overwhelming, but don't worry. That we're gonna be following all the things that's happening when Tim Cook and crew take the stage again on the 9th of March. Now this, I just want to get that mentioned in because now they say if you have any substantial interest in the Apple Watch, you probably fretted over pricing. After all, Apple only mentioned a $349 base price back in September, and that doesn't tell you anything about what it'll cost to get wristwear that suits your style. When there's talk of hand-polished metal links and 18-karat rose gold, some watch variants won't come cheap. And there are 22 of them: 5-watch sports, 12-watch, 12-watch, and 5-watch editions. Some of which have 2 different sizes, and that's a little more than intimidating, obviously. One certainty at this point is that the starting $349 will get you an Apple Watch Sport. The UK Sunday Times quoted the price for the 38mm Sport in a preview piece where it got rare early access for a photo shoot, and it only makes sense that a watch made from aluminum and glass would cost less than one built with stainless steel and sapphire. It's not certain if you'll pay more for a 42mm Sport, although that seems likely when you're getting a higher resolution display on the top of the larger case. As for the other models, there's nothing definite known at this point, although there are some educated guesses. During Fireballs, John Gruber believes that Apple is likely to price the mid-tier watch and the upscale watch edition more like mechanical timepieces, that's several $100s and up, with prices varying widely depending on both the core model and your choice of strap. A steel link bracelet could easily cost you hundreds of dollars more than a rubber sports band, for example. And you'll want to brace yourself for the potentially eye-watering costs of the watch edition. That's this. That's like the most expensive version. It's solid gold watches typically cost thousands of dollars more than their steel equivalents, as you might just pay as much for an edition as you would a decent used car at several $1,000s or more. With that said, don't be surprised if Apple keeps the price comparatively low. Many conventional gold watches are made in small numbers, so they have to be exorbitantly priced in order to turn a profit. Apple, meanwhile, is reportedly preparing to churn out more than 1 million watch edition units per month. The economics of scale might let it undercut luxury brands by a wide margin. Just don't expect any band you like. Although the straps are interchangeable, pundits like Gruber suspect that the only official standalone options will be the sports bands. They'd be for exercise, not for changing your look on the fly. Not that this lack of variety will likely be a problem for long. If it's true, it's virtually guaranteed that third parties will have their own bands as soon as possible, so you may not have to buy a stunningly expensive watch to get a strap you like.
Craig.
Yes.
The real
That took
question here is,
forever.
yeah, that too. The real question is,
Yes.
can I buy an iWatch variant case for my iPhone so I can tell what time it is?
You know, actually, what I find most interesting is Apple made all of that money by being so prescient and knowing what the market wanted. Steve Jobs seemed to know what the consumer wanted before the consumer knew they wanted it, and he had it there with style early, and then everyone was so impressed every time something new came out. But here's, an instance of, they're really hyping up this watch, but in the grand scheme of things, wearables are almost like they've been out for a while. There's lots of smartwatches, especially like a main competitor. The Microsoft watch is already out there. There's lots of different fitness bands.
I feel like they've been out for a while, but they haven't caught on.
What about
Right.
the Moto 360 looks like a really nice one too.
But this Apple thing isn't new.
Well, they're adding some new things to it, new features that we haven't seen before, like pressure sensitive. Pressure sensitive, not only touch sensitive, it's pressure sensitive. The digital crown that's on this watch.
I actually just saw today. We're gonna try to get him on the show, but it's a guest where. Well, no, they will be a guest one day, we hope. They have a product that has a touchpad that's so sensitive, it not only knows when one or multiple fingers are touching it, but it knows where if you're hovering over it. I'm guessing it can sense the heat of your fingertips, and it knows where you're hovering.
It's not capacitive. Yes, exactly.
So how about that for pressure?
90 seconds.
Well, listen, we're out of time, and again, I want to thank our guest from the
Dr. Tiago.
Yes, exactly. And coming up to Monday, we have two guests. In the first hour, we're going to have a company called Ideum. They are a company that makes ultra-high resolution exhibit products, like computer touch tables. This is very, very cool technology. And how
60 seconds.
you might be able to use like something like that in your home. And then in the second hour, we're going to have a company called Luna. They have the first smart bed. It's the first mattress cover that can warm your bed, automatically track sleep, and intelligently wake you up via your mattress cover. That's pretty cool.
Oh, that's not wearable tech. No way.
No, yeah.
This is great.
It's a mattress cover that's smart. And then, even wakes you up, tracks your sleep. It's just
smarter than Ben is. Ben, we can ask your bed to get up and go do something.
Anyway, have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks, Aaron, for being with us here tonight, and we'll see you all on Monday. So until Monday night, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you Monday night.
10 seconds.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right, everybody.
We here at Computer America would like to thank our resident Eeyore, Aaron Crossman, for joining us tonight.
Eeyore. I'll have you know I was pleasant.
No. You were pleasant. It's just you were a bit monotone.
And this sibling rivalry is brought to you by Computer America. Thank all of you for watching us on our live Computer America video streaming, and we will see you on Monday night. So say good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.